It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. This morning let us play with the latest iteration of Heart of Meditation. This is built around the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. It has been adapted and amplified from traditional sources by yours truly. Adapted, this means I've swapped one word for another word in harmony, what I feel is in greater harmony with the teachings and the verbiage. Amplified means I've added additional words within a bracket. So I've coded it with italicized and with brackets, so that you can tell the difference. I've adapted and amplified because to me what's most important is not tradition, but the comprehension and transformation of people who meditate with me. Okay, let's get it on. Please be so kind as to chant with me. It is said that Quan Chi and Pu saw an archetype of love and letting go, while moving in the deep peace of the perfect understanding of awareness and release. Shed light on the five aggregates and found them equally empty. After this realization, she made peace with all pain. Listen, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form does not differ from emptiness, emptiness does not differ from form. The same is true with feeling, awareness, impulse, and awareness. So now, welcome to the first quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span, over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and you've got 96 breaths. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. Since this is our first quarter, we could keep track of it by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger, palms up in our lap. So, as you can probably guess, there's going to be 4 lessons this morning. The first one is about viewing mindfulness through the lens of neuroscience. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. What does that suckiness look like? It looks like people being conditioned and taught and trained to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. When these are the people who teach us meditation, they implore us to actively focus and actively analyze. The only way to perform those actions is to rely upon the discrete neural pathways found in regions such as the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. But here's the rub. Overtrain your prefrontal cortex, overwork it, and we trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. And let's face facts, no one meditates because they want more anxiety and aggression. They want less. In fact, they want to be instead men and women of peace and love. That's probably why you're here. Good news. the entirety of our central nervous system. Let's try this again. Neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex comprise the entirety of our central nervous system. And as promised, let's look at mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired by evolution to automatically access our sympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord, this bad boy has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way. To help us notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which I'm sure you could agree is the opposite of the rigidity of concentration. But what is it that we have evolved to notice? We have evolved to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, that's a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing simultaneously. Is there an easy way? Yes. Yes, there is. Silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during your inhalation, and you will gently nudge your cerebral cortex into cooperating with your sympathetic nervous system. Now, a question remains, what are we to do with all this stuff that we noticed? The external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. That brings us to meditation, which we're only going to cover in a concise manner right now. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we wind up physically relaxing and mentally releasing to such a degree that what we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. This word empty should sound familiar. We recited it a bunch of times this morning. Now, any good English teacher will remind us that a simile is only as powerful as it is relatable. So we have to ask the question, what? What is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? The answer is child's play. Consider the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. It's just that simple. Emptiness is a metaphor for the experience of the fleeting experience of non-graspability we experience during each exhalation. Having said that, together as a team, let us now play with mindfulness and meditation for several minutes. But please bear in mind, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or Buddhist meditation, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. If you're going to sit cross-legged, take a lesson from ancient statuary. Originally, the Buddhas were never depicted as sitting in the full lotus position. That was simply the product of patriarchy's elitism. The common way of sitting in ancient India was the quarter lotus position, where our shins were stacked on each other in an almost parallel manner. And we would twist our legs from our hips, not our knees, so that the tops of our feet are on the floor, which is much more sustainable than resting the crowns of our ankles upon the floor. Okay, so be gentle with your bodies. If you play with this posture without forcing it, within a week or two, you will have mastered it. Allow me to take a moment to remind you that enlightenment is nothing more than the mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Mastery being so good at getting so good at something that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively, like being toilet trained, brushing our teeth, tying our shoes, or riding a bike. For instance, playing with mindful, and so the key to mastering this Eightfold Path is simply in the seventh fold of mindfulness and the eighth fold of meditation. Playing with these two, this deep mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, can give us a deep familiarization with the figurative emptiness that supports letting go. Let's continue. Before we begin, whoopsie. Before we begin exploring the three dualities, let's break for 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Druid Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Please chant with me. Whoopsie. Here we go. Listen, Shari Pudra, phenomena are marked with emptiness. There is neither desire nor dread that once perceived cannot be released. Oopsie. Let's hit this. Take two. There is neither desire nor dread that once perceived cannot be released. Neither protection nor destruction that once perceived cannot be released. Neither purification nor corruption that once perceived cannot be released. Neither increasing nor decreasing that once perceived cannot be released. Therefore in empty this there is no form, no feeling, no appraisal, no impulse and no awareness that once perceived cannot be released. We're now going to deconstruct the three circles of experience, beginning with object of observation. No sensation, no flavor, no scent, no sound, no sight, no phenomena that once perceived cannot be released. And now object of perception. And now we're going to, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, copy, paste, organ of awareness. No body, no tongue, no nose, no ears, no eyes, no mind that once perceived cannot be released. Now the actual experience of awareness. No feeling, no tasting, no smelling, no hearing, no seeing, no noticing that once perceived cannot be released. Welcome to the second quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and that gives you 96 inhalations. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. Please bear with me. Okay, we'll begin with a bit of review. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus causing us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice the mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But what do we do with that which we notice? Let us answer that by viewing meditation through the lens of neuroscience. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, evolution has already wired us to automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system divided between the lower third and the upper third of our spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system supports both our physical relaxation as well as our mental release. When we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we gently nudge our cerebral cortex in the direction of cooperating with our parasympathetic nervous system, thus helping us to release what it is we noticed during our previous inhalation, causing that which we noticed to fleetingly feel less solid, less permanent, and less defining. Together as a team, let us meditate right now. Oh wait, one more thing before I forget. So, as mentioned previously, simply by playing with mindfulness and meditations every 12 hours or so, we not only practice but actually master the remaining 6 folds of the Buddha's 8-fold path, including the first fold, which gives us a deep familiarization with the literal impermanence that supports our mental release. So many of us are very, very good at beating ourselves up. Please allow me to remind you that compassion is not an emotion, it's an intention. So, for instance, you can feel cranky with someone and still choose to be kind to them. That doesn't make you a hypocrite, it makes you a grown-up. And it's been said that being in romantic partnership with someone means that you're going to spend the rest of your life with someone who half the time you feel is your soulmate and the other half the time you feel is the most annoying human being on the planet. One moment, please. Okay, thank you for your patience. Please chant with me. No interdependent origin, and no extinction of them. From confusion to aging and death that once perceived cannot be released. No stress, no confusion, no liberation, no path. No understanding, no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. Because there is no attainment that once... 1 moment. Because there is no attainment that once perceived cannot be released. The Bodhisattva archetypes of awareness and release supported by perception and release is perfection of understanding. Find no obstacles from other minds that once perceived cannot be released. So this is important. That doesn't mean there are no obstacles. It means that whatever obstacle they notice, they can release. Whatever obstacle they notice during their inhalation, they can let go of to a certain degree during their exhalation. Having no obstacles that once perceived cannot be released, they transcend the tyranny of fear, liberating themselves forever from the tyranny of illusion and attaining final nirvana. So this isn't talking about lobotomizing our capacity to experience fear. It means that we are able to observe it and work with it using our inhalation and our exhalation. And so nirvana is not the absence of stress, it's the absence of the tyranny of stress. Stress is still there, but we are able to dance with it because of our mastery of mindfulness and meditation. Together, all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, thanks to this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing, arrive at full right and universal enlightenment. We come now to welcome to the third quarter of mindful crease counting meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets, and that'll give you 96 inhalations. We can count those 8 sets on our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. So, a bit of a review. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of all living beings are really, really happy to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. When these rigid and controlling people teach meditation, they teach folks to rely on active focus and active analysis. Doing this triggers their amygdala, the seat of aggression and anxiety. No, most people don't like feeling that way, and they want to remedy it, which is an active way of controlling. And the tool they use is to go back to the same thing that caused the problem. Focus and analysis. This time, instead of focusing and analyzing an object of wisdom, they're doing it with an object of love or compassion, but they're still triggering their amygdala, which is tragic. But here's the solution. The solution lies in mindfulness and meditation. So let's review them quickly and then view how they help heal the situation. So concisely, when it comes to mindfulness, when we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, we cannot help but vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice many things. First, we notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Second, we notice that there are some things, of all these things that we perceive, some we desire and some we dread. And the third thing we notice, and this is just automatically, we notice a resistance to the absence of what we crave, as well as a resistance to the presence of what we hate. This is normal. This is part of our survival mechanisms. The question is not the presence or the absence of resistance, but the tyranny of resistance. Does resistance control our choices, utterances, and deeds? Resistance not only to circumstances, but to individuals as well. This brings us to meditation. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during our exhalation, we are able to physically, let's try this again. We're able to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that we release what we noticed during our previous inhalation, including our resistance to the absence. One moment here, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So to put it more simply, as we relax into our exhalation, what we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less enticing, less permanent, and less defining. As a fringe benefit, number one, this calms the tyranny of our amygdala's anxiety and aggression. So it exerts less control over our choices, utterances, and deeds. Second, it stimulates our anterior cingulate gyrus, this hunk of meat here that kind of looks like the letter C, and it's been highlighted in fuchsia. This bit here functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of love and compassion. You see, when we when we indulge our controlling tendencies, the best we can do is contrive an analog of love, which is slash and torn and worthless and weak and flaccid. But when we rely on mindfulness and meditation, we experience the highest love, which is the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Why is this important? Because 50% of the Buddha's path pertains to loving kindness. Kindness of, oopsie, wrong button. Let's see if I can't fix that. Okay. Kindness of intention, kindness of communication, kindness of conduct and commerce that is as cooperative as it is kind. This is a reflection of our emotions, but our intentions, our volition, if you will, our drive, if you will. This is a barometer of our spiritual practice. If, regardless of what we feel, we're consistently cruel and inconsiderate, then as Bugs Bunny said to Daffy Duck, I think we took a wrong turn in Albuquerque. But if despite what's going on physically or emotionally, you still experience the drive to be kind, then you know you're headed in the right direction. And once again, all of this comes not from contrivance, but from simply cooperating with your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. Having said all that, together as a team, let us practice mindfulness and meditation. Please, let's see here. One moment, if you please. Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue. Therefore, one should know that this perfect understanding of noticing and releasing is like a great mantra, is like an unequal mantra. The destroyer of the tyranny of all suffering, the incorruptible truth. A mantra prajnaparamitas, perfect wisdom of awareness and releases, could therefore be proclaimed. This is the mantra gate gate para gate para samgate bodhiswaha. Release completely and perfectly release into enlightenment, may it be so. Welcome to the fourth quarter of Mindful Crease Counting Meditation. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our right thumb in the following manner, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply this by 8 sets and it gives you 96 inhalations. We could count those 8 sets upon our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sets of 12 inhalations each. Whoopsie, that was unfortunate. Let's go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is odd, isn't it? Okay. So let's go over here. And let's hit copy. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, 7, and hit paste again. Okay. And this time we will hit, let's hit paste, wrap text, behind text. Okay, let's this in front. All right, very good. So here we go. This is our final silent meditation of this morning's early morning live stream. We're going to hit with a quick reminder. The key to mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation. Doing so helps us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice 4 things. The first thing we notice is mind's antics, or our mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. The second thing we notice is that we prefer some things and disdain other things. The third thing we notice is we tend to resist the absence of what we desire. And the fourth thing we notice is we tend to resist the presence of what we dread. What do we do with these objects of awareness? It's simple. We meditate. Every time we silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verbies during our exhalation, We physically relax and mentally release to the point that what we noticed during our previous inhalation, we are able to release. We release what we desire, what we dread. We even release our resistance to the object of what we desire and our resistance to the presence of what we dread. Now, this could sound like we're being set up to be a doormat, as if an object that life will spend its eternity scraping its muddy boots upon. That sounds dreadful, but check this out. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours or so, the more we will notice our own choices, utterances, and deeds flowing from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, which should not be confused with the scattered spontaneity we might experience after our fourth consecutive espresso, but the centered spontaneity that issues forth from our mindfulness and meditation. And now let us practice that mindfulness and meditation. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 2 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to today's mid-morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the force be with you always.